Hey, Mark.
Hey, Brandon, here we are.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks.
Yeah, yeah,
It's been 2 weeks. It's been
yeah.
a long 2 weeks.
So we're trying to get stuff out. There'll be a new one coming out today on
The epic,
Epictetus.
yeah, the
Epictetus.
Enchiridion. It's like we've already 2 weeks is enough to forget about how to pronounce
We have
things.
to keep, practicing it. But today we're diving into something that I think if anybody's ever heard about the Hermetics,
Yeah,
this is the introductory thing because to it, I think.
yeah, it is.
I mean, I think, yeah. So
The Kybalion.
the Kybalion.
You know what we did?
Yeah.
We forgot to do before we started this episode.
What?
We forgot to discuss how that's pronounced.
Kybalion.
Okay,
How else would you?
my son.
Kybalion?
I bought this for my son.
Kybalion?
So my son Enoch and my daughter Esther have this book. They have
They
their own
do?
copies. Yeah, the same one right here.
Do they read it?
Yeah. So like about a week or two.
Dude, we should have them on because they probably understand it better than we do.
About a week or two ago, Enoch. Well, you know what the thing is, they're kids, and I think they do it to be proud, like so that I'd be proud of them. You know,
Like, look what I've got.
like because Enoch comes in the room and he's like, "I'm working," and he's like, "Dad, this morning I was reading," and he calls it like some weird, like he called it the Kybalion.
Kybalion.
Like I don't know how he says it.
I think it should be the Kybalion.
Oh, that's actually how I pronounce. That's how he pronounces it. That's how it is. Kybalion.
That's perfect.
The Kybalion. And he came in and he's like, "Yeah, I was reading the Kybalion this morning, Dad. It's a really good book." I'm like, "Oh, what'd you read?" And he's like, about the mind. About the mind. I'm like, "Oh, cool, yeah."
Like, oh, you definitely were reading it.
Well, and so anyways,
This is
yeah. So we'll call it Kybalion, but Kybalion's a cool name.
that's even it gives it more power. Well,
Can I say something
this
about
would be
this?
a tough one to read for a kid.
And the thing is like, so I don't go out. I bought this because I was reading it, and they saw it, and they're like, "Hey, can I have?" Like I bought them. They have like the Hermetic. They have the Hermetica.
What?
They have the Hermetica too, like the one from Timothy Frecky.
Oh,
Timothy
okay,
Frecky.
okay, yeah, that one's more.
Yeah, they have that one too. They have their own copies of it, and so
That's Brandon's
they
standard works.
in a way it seems like it, right? But so I'm sitting there reading the Kybalion, and Enoch's like, oh, so he goes, "Hey, can I have that book?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll order you one." So I got on Amazon to order it, and then I'm like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure that there's gonna be more people who want it." So I ordered like a
So do
handful.
they have the Centennial one
Yeah, they have the same
or
one.
Centenary?
Centenary.
Centenary.
So the Kybalion that we're going over today. There's different. It's in the open. What's the free? It's in the open domain.
Yeah,
Commons.
it's been common since 1977.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
So it's available in many different printings. I have one printed by Tarcher Perigi, and it's a centenary edition. But they have a regular edition too.
Yeah, I got this. I have a soft or a paperback one. I think it was like $5 or something.
Yeah, and it's like
And
anybody
it's
can.
quality.
Yeah, no, that one looks. We've had other books that we've purchased that were worse, like just horrible. That one looks pretty good.
This one's very nice.
Yeah.
And it's got a nice picture of Hermes Trismegistus.
Yeah,
Like he's looks like
like some kind of like
Gandalf
Yeah.
the Grey. But that's the thing is that's where the whole wizard thing comes from is this ancient
Sure.
stuff, which is
Crazy,
'cause-
huh?
Yeah. So anytime you see a wizard and stuff, it's all from old Hermetic alchemists
Yep.
kind of stuff, which is like anyway really pretty interesting.
So the first comment you made, Mark, about the Kybalion was like, "Hey, what do you say? Has anybody ever heard of this?" Or right? That's the first comment you made in this episode. Like, "Hey, who's ever heard of this book before?" Right?
Yeah.
And so my interesting story on the Kybalion is I had never heard of it, and through all the years, the last like 20, 30 years, no, 20 years. I wasn't this when I was 10 years old. So the last
Like,
20 years
when
of
I
me
was
like
young.
reading different like books and texts and kind of like being someone who's kind of a seeker and looking for things.
Yeah.
I had never came across the Kybalion.
Yeah, me neither.
And also I had, I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous episode, I had never really come across Hermetic philosophy either.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. Like I went and got a degree in religious studies and like
That
learned
is
like
weird.
Hebrew and like got into I was aware of the Kabbalah. I was aware of like different types of occultic stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you hear about Kabbalah. Yeah, way more.
Yeah, but I never heard about Hermetic philosophy. I never heard about the Kybalion until about a year ago, and I was just like. And what's interesting is one of the very first things, and I think it's in the introduction actually. One of the very first things he says is, "It's not by coincidence that this book you're reading this book."
Yeah, actually, it can.
And when I read that, I was like, "It's not, is it?" Because like I was definitely seeking at that moment,
Yeah.
and I
Where is that?
found it, and it looked a little strange to me, like Kybalion. I never heard this before. This is something maybe I don't want to like. I don't like delving into things that are like just crazy, And I went ahead and bought it and picked it up. And so it was actually from the Kybalion reading it. Then I heard the author of the Kybalion, which we'll talk about today, but the author of the Kybalion actually mentioned Hermes and mentioned Hermetic philosophy, and that's where I first. So we have done many episodes, like 6 or 7 episodes on different Hermetic texts.
Yeah.
But
it was something that I wasn't even aware of.
It was this book.
I'm like you.
It was this book that basically informed me that there was such thing as Hermetic
Yeah.
texts.
Because I was more, obviously this is the Gnostic deluge, and
yeah.
I mean, well, I'm just saying. So
It's just a deluge of knowledge.
of knowledge, yeah. But I'm getting flooded by too much knowledge right now. I'm like all over the place. I was talking to Brandon about Kabbalah stuff. Kabbalah, yeah. And anyway, it's just there's so much stuff. But look, here's that thing. Those ready for the instruction will attract the attention of such as are prepared to receive the teaching. When the pupil is ready to receive the truth, then will this little book come to him.
Yeah, that's it.
Or her. Such is the law. So, and they call it the Hermetic principle of cause and effect, the law of attraction. So, Brandon,
that's the thing is there is people today that write about the law of attraction.
No, and this one of the first things we're going to talk about is this is published in 1908. And that's the beginning. Well, there was a lot of new thought.
There was.
Because
there was a lot of little societies and little publishing houses that were coming up.
Yeah, I mean, James Allen, did all those books on what's that big one? As a Man Thinketh.
As a Man Thinketh.
The Way of Peace, the one that I like
the Way of
so
Peace.
much. Yeah, but he was in a different, thing.
No, but there's the turn of the century. There was a lot of.
They were kind of reestablishing kind of occult. I'm not saying that James Allen was part of the occultic thing, but like with Aleister Crowley and all these and the Golden Dawn. No, I know Aleister Crowley definitely has a bad,
reputation.
But he was part of the Golden Dawn, but then he broke off.
Yeah,
you
did your research.
I did some, yeah.
Because this is I don't remember where I read that, but I've read that before.
Yeah. He was, and he actually told some of the secrets of them.
He got in trouble.
Yeah. Because he anyway. That's a different story. But I'm saying what is that? Is that the 18th century? Is that the 9th? That's the 9th the end of the 19th century.
Yeah. 20th
to the
century.
end of the 20th century. I always forget because it's like counting
it's so
down.
dumb.
Anyway, but
starting from zero, it's tough to think about.
Let's just say the 1800s, the late 1800s to the early 1900s. There was all kinds of stuff going on with spiritualism and kind of a lot of people kind of putting together that religions aren't as different as as people think. You know, that they're not so separate. There's a few different things, but the general ideas, at least according to this new thought kind of things, are the same. So
yeah, I agree that time period there was a lot of thinking going on.
Yeah, and we see it today. If you have any, I mean, well, now I'm talking about like self-help kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it any kind of thing like that, like the law of attraction, The Secret, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Some of a lot of that comes from way back in the day.
Yeah, it's not a.
I'm not.
It kind of just comes around, like it kind of.
It's cyclical, man.
Cyclical nature.
It's like the pendulum.
It's what's the law of rhythm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so anyway,
we're already busting out spoilers.
Yeah,
we've already mentioned the law of attraction and the law of rhythm.
Right? Well, hey, we couldn't help it.
But I think today, what we talked about doing was, in this episode, we're just going to give an introduction to what the Kybalion is, what it claims that it is, and then what external sources claim that it is too.
Yeah, but like we said, we're here to, whenever we go through something, we're not here to be critical of it. We're just here to talk about what it is and kind of talk through it and say, okay, you know.
Oh, I'm as gullible as can be. I believe everything.
Yeah, it's all true, man. Like, even the things that are contradictory. Actually, though, that's the thing that they talk about in here, is that things that seem contradictory are not, you know.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, they're the same.
We'll get into it, but okay, so this is published in 1908, and
it was published by the Yogi Society.
Yeah,
that's the publisher, but it was published under the name of the Three Initiates.
Yeah, which is obviously not somebody's name. It's a generic term.
And I guess back then, publishing laws weren't like they were today, so you can just name whatever name you want for the author, probably. I think today you would have to have you have to have some name as either the editor or you know what I'm saying? You just can't say, like, if I wrote a book today, I just can't say, and who's the author of the book? The Chosen Ones. You know, I don't think that works today. But back then it worked. So he was able to, whoever wrote the book, which we'll get into that.
I wonder if you can publish.
You know what?
Seems like you should be able to still publish.
Let's give our listeners an opportunity to comment on that.
Because I think
if you guys know, let us know.
Anyway, there might Anyway, but they decided to publish it under the Three Initiates.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the reason possible. That sounded like a pretty good one. Okay, because the common speculation is that a guy named William Walker Atkinson did it.
And he was actually the founder of the Yogi Publication Society.
Yeah, so he just happened. And he wrote under different pseudonyms, like
Yogi Rachamaraka, or...
Yeah, something.
I probably slaughtered
He also
that one.
He published a book.
Ramacharaka.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a tough one. So
in your introduction, it said something about he had published it under the Three Initiates. The idea being.
So, and I like this. I respect this. So the reason why in the centenary edition that I have from Tarcher Perigee, they have an introduction by a man named Richard Smalley, and his theory, and he gives some. I mean, I don't even know if it's a theory. When you have enough evidence, then it's not. You know, you can hardly call it a theory anymore. But basically, his theory was that the book was indeed written by William Walker Atkinson, but the reason why he called it he went under the name of the Three Initiates was because he himself was inspired by two other previous thinkers, mm-hmm. right, at the time, who wrote and who talked a lot about the Hermetic philosophies. And out of respect for them, rather than just taking the name upon him, taking the book and writing it with his own name, he actually said the Three Initiates. I would believe for one to kind of rename somewhat anonymous, but also to like pay respect to two other people, and those people, according to Richard Smalley, were I don't know.
What?
The problem with having
I think I saw it over here. Here, turn to the page. Over here somewhere.
Many candidates have been named, notably the occultist Paul Foster Case.
Yeah.
And then there was a female too, a woman.
Anna Kingsford.
That sounds right.
But is that the one? That's right here. Yeah. So anyway,
Anna Kingsford probably.
Well,
but there's actually a few. So what we know is there's 3 initiates, but Richard Smalley actually throws out, I think, about 5 different names of people that it could be.
Possibles. Yeah. Because I had written down Paul Foster Case as one, Elias Gewertz, and this is just off of Wikipedia. So I just anyway. So that's the common idea, is that it was him that did it, because obviously somebody wrote it. It didn't just come down from the heavens,
Yeah, and I guess
they don't claim it did either, But part of it is it's a cool idea that it was the 3. He did the 3 initiates because of the 2 that helped him, get to where he's at, and then so. But also part of it is the whole idea. If it's anonymous or the 3 initiates, it doesn't have a name of a modern person, then it's more mysterious too. It's like, ooh, the 3 initiates did it.
When I read things at least today, and they're like, and I feel my interpretation is that it's like, wow, this is a fairly profound thing.
Yeah.
And then when I say, who wrote this, and when it says like some general term, there's like, ooh, what's going? It seems more mystical.
But sure. You have a term that you use?
Yeah, I have
the traveler.
The traveler. Yeah.
If you ever see something written by the traveler, it's Brandon.
I've written a few things, and I have
the traveler.
I have what's the right word probably, but I have attributed it to someone called the traveler.
I'm gonna be the passenger. Like that song by Iggy Pop.
I wasn't aware of that, but. Is that a song by Iggy Pop?
Yeah. Like, I am the passenger.
I just revealed how uncultured I am because I only know the name Iggy Pop. I don't know.
I didn't. Okay. I didn't really know that.
Okay.
Anyway, but I just recently started listening to kind of some of the old punk and Iggy Pop and stuff.
Cool.
Anyway, but so part of the reason too that they suspect really that's William Walker Atkinson is because the writing style is similar to another pseudonym that he published later or before. It was a book called The Arcane Teachings.
Okay.
And it was published prior to 1909. This one's 1908, but this other one didn't have a publication date on it, But then the second edition was published in 1909. Anyway, but it's the way I was looking it over today, and the way it's written out is very similar. Like, it's got these phrases that are said.
Really?
It's got these 7 principles. They're different, but it's just very, very similar.
Interesting.
So, anyway, so that's the part about where it comes from, and they never claim that it is, that this whole book, this is just explaining the teachings of or these sayings. What did we say? Aphorisms. Yeah. Basically that have been taught, and to acquaint people with the basic Hermetic stuff, and not so.
Yeah, and you said it well. I won't go further. Yeah.
I just want to go on. Have a few things to cover, like. Because whenever we talk about this, you hear like occult. Yeah. And they say occult teachings.
Yeah.
And what do you think of when you think of occult?
My question that I have is did they think that way back then? Like today when you hear occult, it's instantly like, like what
occultic, yeah, it's devil.
Yeah,
kind
there's
of
like
stuff.
sacrifices or like this
Well,
witchcraft.
I know, but I think that this is in the early part of it, and it wasn't associated with that so much. And then throughout time, with people like Aleister Crowley,
yeah,
who's the guy, the satanic, gosh. Anyway, whatever the other guy is, like all these, the occult became devil stuff.
Yeah.
So, but the original word occult is in Latin. It's a Roman or a Latin thing. It's occultus, and it means hidden, concealed, or secret.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, but occult, shut from view or exposure, to cover or eclipse. So that's the basic thing. It's not, but we've come to associate it with like blood rituals and
black magic and stuff.
And then the name, the Kybalion, like comes from Kabbalah, like term Kabbalah.
So is that the
at least this is what I guess I'm speculating on where it comes from because I don't know where else.
Because I don't think the name means anything that we know, but it's a good guess. I would say that it comes from the word Kabbalah.
Well, yeah, this is my speculation then. Because Kabbalah means received tradition. It's a Hebrew term. Okay. It's actually KBL.
Yeah.
Or Kof
Bet
Lamed.
Yeah.
That's the
Kabbalah.
It's pronounced Kabal. Okay.
Yeah.
So Kybalion means correspondence or receptivity or acceptance. Anyway.
Yeah. No, that's actually when I first saw the name of it a year ago, I was like, I can see that being something, and then of course the picture of a triangle or a square and a circle together. It's like, oh, this is definitely something like, this is like mysticism,
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, and we're kind of talk about this, is that the Kybalion though isn't like, it has that on the cover and stuff, but they don't go into like things about numbers or things even about alchemy or anything. It's a very general introduction, so which is good because, well, first off, one of the things is that this is written by the three initiates, right? And one of the thing is, and we talked about it with the other episode, that an initiate is not a master, right?
Okay, yeah.
So, what was it?
Is an initiate?
They're not even an adept, like somebody that's been really further into it. So it's a very base level introduction.
Interesting.
It's not written by the three.
You're right. It's not written by three masters or three adepts.
Yeah. So
interesting.
I thought, I was like, oh, that's why so it's not even claiming to be.
Not only was he not interested in putting his own name on the book, but he wasn't even interested in referring to himself as a master.
Yeah, he didn't go he just said the three initiates because it's just an initiating. Well, maybe to kind of wet your appetite.
And that makes sense because there's certain parts that we'll probably get to here, maybe not this episode, but maybe next, where there's references to different, like someone who's mastered the principle of the mind is all, and what kind of things they're capable of.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, whoa. Like, dude. Okay, so well, let's get into it. I need another drink?
Yeah, what do you need?
Give me one of those Virgil's root beers. Oh man.
Oh, these are the good ones.
Yeah. Dude, if you want a good root beer with no sugar, but no fake sugar either, right? Or what do you call it? Man-made sugar? I don't know. Artificial sweetener. Yeah. Go with Virgil's Zero Sugar Root Beer, and it tastes so good.
Yeah, I'm not...
No aftertaste or anything.
No, it's really good. Mark's right. Mm-hmm. Virgil should pay me to say this, but this is really tasty, and the sweetener is erythritol, stevia, and monk fruit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not even cane... There's no cane sugar.
And that's the thing, is that it even says erythritol carbs have no calories or effect on blood sugar. That's one of the things about the artificial sweeteners that I've recently looked into, is that they can still have effect on your blood sugar. Supposedly. I am not a doctor.
I've read. Don't depend on Mark for medical advice.
Yeah. If you
please consult your doctor before.
If you are, well, nice knowing you, I guess.
Nice knowing you. Please consult your actual doctor.
But anyway, it's a good one. It doesn't have like that aftertaste that you get from stevia or whatever, but you know.
Hey, you're right. And I think stevia is in it, but it doesn't have that stevia taste.
Yeah. I'm saying whatever they do, they put it very. Virgil's has nailed it.
It's the erythritol. We've gone off track, but it's the erythritol. So I buy erythritol from the store, big old bag of it, and we make passion fruit. Is it passion fruit tea? We make some passion fruit herbal tea, right? Mm-hmm. And I just dump the erythritol into it and mix it up, and it tastes like fruit punch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yum! I want some. Hey, bring some of that next time.
Okay.
I want to have like a red,
like a
red
Kool-Aid
stain.
mustache.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll mix in some green tea too.
Tanya's been experimenting with different natural sweeteners. You know, like she got a thing of monk fruit that she uses, like, you know, the.
Had she tried
sweetener.
erythritol yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's actually pretty good. And
it's interesting, but the thing about erythritol is, like, it sounds like an artificial sweetener.
It does. It sounds like
I don't know what it's
gasoline
from.
or something.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you put that in your body.
Anyways, that was a bonus on sweeteners.
Not doctors.
Yeah, please consult your doctor if you need any questions.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into this, Mark.
Okay.
More thoroughly, I guess.
Okay, so
the real introduction, not the Wikipedia or the introduction.
Like, why? Okay, so this is cool because they explain why they even wrote this book.
Yeah.
So they're.
I like it. The way it starts out is, we take great pleasure. And that's pretty cool.
They're super happy.
Yeah.
Whenever I listened to this, I was like, wait, is this the actual introduction?
I wonder if when what's his name, Williams Walker
Atkinson, yeah.
William Walker Atkinson?
Yeah.
I wonder when he wrote the line, "We take great pleasure," if he's like, I got him.
Well,
they're gonna think it's okay.
Well, but the thing is that they say he either wrote it by himself or he had helpers.
And that's the thing, is we actually don't know.
The idea that he did it because of these other two people that influenced him is speculation.
You're right. For all we know, they did collaborate on it.
Yeah. So anyway, the second paragraph though kind of talks about the purpose.
Oh, the purpose of the work, right?
Yeah, you want to read that?
Yeah, the purpose of this work is not the enunciation of any special philosophy or doctrine, but rather it is to give to the student a statement of the truth.
This is pretty cool what they say.
That will serve to reconcile the many bits of occult knowledge that they may have acquired, but which are apparently opposed to each other, and which often serve to discourage and disgust the beginner in the study.
Yeah, it's like all this weird stuff. Like,
no, you're totally right.
Yeah, you're just like, well, I'm saying, like, yeah, just weird occult, especially occult, you know.
If you were to pick up, I say that because I've done it. When I picked up, like, when I looked into, like, so there's a book that was written before this, I believe. I think it was the 1800s. But there's a book, yeah, it was, because there's a book called The Magus.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at The Magus, I remember being like, what is going on here? These guys are crazy.
Yeah.
You know? And so
you're just like, what is this?
Yeah, and so it makes sense. I mean, that's one of the purposes of the Kybalion, is like, hey, there's a lot of, like, crazy stuff that if you just go head first into it, it might not be presented in a way for a beginner to kind of really consume it without going crazy.
Yeah, you're just like, whoa, this is, you know, a lot of times you're just like, this is freaky, this is out there, or whatever, you know, and also though, not all of it is even part of
Correct.
it. So that's the thing. Whenever I'm talking about yeah,
it's fair to say I shouldn't.
Most of it isn't.
I try not to throw out opinions. I think a lot of it is hocus pocus, and so this purpose of the Kybalion is to kind of like extract maybe what's not hocus pocus about it.
Yeah, or bring it to real world.
Yeah, what's fundamental? What's like? What are the basic principles of it?
Yeah. So yeah, our intent is not to erect. This is cool too because it's like this is pretty humble, you know.
Oh, very much.
Our intent is not to erect a new temple of knowledge, but rather to place in the hands of the student a master key. So they're giving you the key, with which he may open the inner doors of the temple of mystery through the main portals he has already entered. So you've already, if you know anything about it, you've already kind of are in here looking around going, whoa, look, oh, what is that? What, and you can get lost, but they're giving you a master key.
That's where the appeal is on my part.
Yeah.
Is I think right now, let's talk about religion just for 1 second. Everybody wants to present a new temple. Like, here's this mega structure.
Or this
here's
is the one
where
way.
All the truth is. Here is like what here's all your rules and your doctrines and your context that you should live by. It's all found inside of this thing.
Yeah.
And this is doing the opposite. Like this, we're not presenting to you any kind of like, what do you say the word was? New temple of knowledge.
Yeah.
We're just giving you the key. You kind of take care of it yourself.
Yeah. They just give you a general overview so you can investigate and go through doors and say, okay, well.
Which is right away now, since we've read several, or we went through most of the Hermetic texts.
Yeah, we need to go to. I think
now
the one we're gonna do is the Asclepius when we're done with this.
Yeah,
because that one's sweet.
Yeah,
and that one's got a lot.
But having gone through what we have. And it's like, oh yeah, this statement right here is totally hermetic. Like, no, here's the key.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you the temple. Here's the key.
And one of the things too, though, as we go through this is, I'm going to try to, the different things that they talk about, I'm going to try to find them in those hermetic texts.
Yeah, like label them out. Like, oh, here's a reference to
where, the different laws.
Rhythm.
If they're not, if I can't find them in there, I can't find them in there. But just to kind of compare.
When we were going through it, I often would like, oh wow, here's actually a reference to.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Cause and effect.
Because sometimes you hear a lot of different things, and people are like, well, this is speculation or whatever, or this isn't, because the philosophy society.
Oh yeah.
Had all these teachings. There's all these different Helena. Barvitsky, with the secret doctrine and all this difference. Yeah. There's all these different. So it'll be interesting as we go through to kind of find where references are made in the actual Hermetica. I think.
No, I think that's there's a lot of value in that.
Okay, so there you go. There's a cool little like why even do this, and it's
that's
like,
an awesome
hey,
introduction
we're not this is a pretty. They're not claiming to have all the answers, and they're the initiates. They're not the masters either. So that's
So he goes on beginnings. He goes on to say, this is teachings from Hermes Trismegistus.
Yeah.
Who is also in quotes known as the scribe of the gods.
Yes.
Talks a little bit about Hermes and what what he did, right?
Yeah, like
where he came from and such.
Well, so okay, one of the things, real quick, we'll talk because Hermes in Egypt is Thoth. Well, yeah. Okay, what happened was that there was Thoth or Thoth, however you say
Thoth,
it.
Yeah. We'll call him Thoth.
Anyway,
we're dumb Americans. We'll call him Thoth.
Okay,
go ahead.
Forgive us, but. So we have Thoth. He is the Egyptian god. Whenever the Greeks came down went to Egypt, they had Hermes,
exactly,
who was a similar, or they took it from it. Somehow so their Thoth was Hermes, and whenever Alexander went down there and conquered Egypt, that seems like whenever this Hermes Trismegistus thing came together as the kind of Greek and Egyptian, came together,
mixing it together.
Yeah, so that seems to, because I mean, you wouldn't call it. It wouldn't be Hermes Trismegistus if it's an Egyptian. You know what I'm saying?
No, I see. Yeah, that
the name.
The thing is there's a lot of also.
But there's a lot of philosophy and stuff too, like Greek philosophy mingled with Egyptian scripture.
There you go. But there's like Greek already had. So Greek has another god called Asclepius. The Greeks have a god called Asclepius. Mm-hmm. And it's just interesting that Hermes has a student / son.
Well, that's
called Asclepius. And then he has another student / son called Tat, which is technically the same name as Thoth.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
There's some interesting, I'm not sure if it's like mistakes that were made, or if we see if the puzzle just hasn't been put together completely. But there's some interesting relationships there. Like,
yeah. Well,
who's really who?
Well, it's not saying. Well, I'm just kind of trying to clear up the idea, like Hermes isn't, it comes from Thoth, who was a man, who became a god.
A god.
But then whenever kind of the Greek and the Egyptian converged with Alexander the Great, and they had the Library of Alexandria and all that stuff, they were able to converge the whole teachings.
Yeah, sure. They
together.
It was compatible enough that they said they started calling them.
Yeah, and that's why you have the name of a Greek god, okay, as the head of an Egyptian mystery cult.
Correct.
Or that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, but so it was Hermes Trismegistus, who illuminated these teachings. He was the one that came up with the basic fundamental esoteric teachings. He established and taught the master key, which explained and reconciled divergent views and planted the seed of truth instead of establishing a school of philosophy. So it was
cool.
These were all secret kind of things that he passed on from,
and we talked about that too, the whole key versus school. It's kind of appealing to be like, hey, we're not going to tell you what you need to believe. When you come and you get it.
Yeah. Well, you have a different book than me.
You looking for a different page number or something?
Yeah, well, there's the part where it says these men have never...
Yeah, I got it. Want to read that part?
Yeah.
These men have never sought popular approval, nor numbers of followers. They are indifferent to these things, for they know how few there are in each generation who are ready for the truth, and who would recognize it if it were presented to them.
See, so that's just what you're saying about the whole idea of this isn't... You don't establish a church of this. This is more teacher to student. And it's for... and that's why something like a basic understanding of this might lead to further teaching, but it might not. I don't know what I'm saying there. Yeah.
They reserve strong meat for men, while others furnish the milk for babes. So yeah.
So the whole pearls before swine kind of thing.
Exactly.
So
this is the page that actually this is, I think, where Ian. Oh, maybe it's not. I mean, I remembered one of the things my son came and talked to me. Oh, here it is. It says the end of the previous paragraph says, fed by pure ministers of love, let not the flame die out. So there's also a discussion of like how there's always been somebody
Yeah, it's
to
been
pass
passed
this
on.
around.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
pass this down.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that my son was looking at as like, hey, what does it mean the flame not die out? And we talked about it like, well, theoretically or in a philosophical way, if you don't let the flame go out, you're keeping the light there in some way.
Well, yeah, it's the idea of, okay, you have a candle and I have a candle's. Yours is lit. So in order to get mine lit, I have to use your flame and pass it on. Then I can pass it on to somebody else.
I wonder
as it burns, as yours burns out, mine still is burning, and I can. You know what I'm saying?
I wonder if there's in the New Testament, one of the Jesus's teachings was, I think it might have been in.
Don't hide your thing.
Yeah, would you light a candle or would you hide your candle? Would you light a candle under a bushel? Would you snuff your candle out? No, you would light the house.
Yeah, let your light so shine that.
So that's a.
How does it go?
I don't know.
Gosh,
would you? I think that what I'm remembering though is would you basically light your candle under a bushel, which is basically just like putting a little lid on the candle and letting it go out. Would you snuff it out? No, you wouldn't.
I thought it was. Well, you would light. I always thought it was under a bush. Like if you lit your candle under a bush, it'd turn into a flaming, burning bush.
No, I remember years ago looking at what bushel meant.
Okay.
And so,
but yeah, it's like a city on a hill can't be hid is part of that too, where it's like you can't hide it. People are gonna see it.
And so here's the question. We've read that, we both come from a Christian background. We've seen that, we've had that read to us before. We've read that in the Bible before.
Mm-hmm.
The question is like, it's interesting to look back at it now in hindsight and go, well, Jesus was he kind of like hermetic in a way? His teachings?
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, the more I read about stuff, the more I'm like, I think about those different things. I'm like, whoa, this is totally not. Because you're raised one way to think, that these are original, but they're also original, and they're not necessarily. I'm not saying that they're not, but you're like, whoa, that's what he meant,
Like that's an old aphorism right there.
Yeah,
he's referring to an aphorism that goes back to like Egypt.
Yeah,
it's not. He didn't just like make that up and like, oh my gosh, how profound! Like even though it was profound.
Yeah, even ancient Hebrew, teachings and stuff. A lot of things he said were predated him.
Yeah, totally.
Remember when we talked about there's that prayer in the Book of Adam and Eve.
Yeah,
that was our Father who what is that
was there a name for it?
The Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
In
one form it was
but called, it was an old Hebrew prayer.
I don't remember the name for it. Was a name for it, but
it was anyway.
Want me to pull it out?
Yeah, just while we're thinking about might as well. But it predated lost books of the Bible. It predated Christ, and you're just like, wait, what? Why didn't I ever hear that? I mean, not that it is that important. Well,
that's right. And what happened was
the Kaddish prayer.
And what happened was Christians took it and kind of added some Christianity into it, right?
Yeah. Our Father who art in heaven, be gracious unto us, O Lord our God, hallowed be thy name. And let the remembrance of thee be glorified in heaven above and in the earth below. Let thy kingdom reign over us now and forever. Thy kingdom come. The holy men of old said, remit and forgive unto all whatsoever they have done unto me. So, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil thing. For thine is the kingdom, and thou shalt reign in glory forever and forevermore. Amen. So that's,
Amen,
does that sound familiar?
Amen, Mark.
You're welcome. But so I mean, and that's part of the thing that I like about this is that you can see all the teachings of all these different religions, you're like, wait, that's where part of that is. That's
yeah,
it's all.
It dawns on you. You become aware of like, wow, that's old.
Yeah,
that these are old things. This is not like just like a modern thing. This is old stuff.
Yeah, the idea is that this is taught in Egypt. That people came from all over the place. Where is it? From like Greece, India, all all came to China. Even there, this is the claim in the introduction, and they and also the Egyptians, and this kind of goes along with Graham Hancock and stuff. Traveled Thoth and Hermes. Traveled the world and taught these the traveler like your name. But they traveled the world and taught these things. So that's why, and that's you'll find so many similarities in different religions across the world, even though they were separated by millions of miles, and not by thousands of miles. That's the theory.
Oh, Mark, that was like, I like how you put a spin on that. So really, if I could like embarrass you for a minute, that was profound the way that you spun that together. Yeah. Good job, Mark. Good job. Right. The thing is what you said just now, what I haven't really thought about yet, is that flame that's mentioned here in the Kybalion, the flame that was always alive somewhere, wasn't necessarily just alive in one place. That flame was there was some flicker of that flame, and it was traveling around the world.
Yeah.
And so we today look back and we can see remnants, small little examples of that flame in all different cultures around the world, and we go, wow, what a coincidence, or how interesting, that these just happen to kind of these people happen to be referring to the same things and have the same kind of like notions and concepts, and really what it is just evidence of that flame that's always been.
It's burning the world.
The traveler. It's always been around somewhere.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the idea, and but part of the reason that it's not so well known is because it's occult teachings.
Correct.
Occult hidden
by nature,
because you don't just give it out.
And here we go. In several of the texts, think about it. Tat has to come to Hermes and say, hey, I need to know this stuff. Like, Tat had to beg.
Yeah.
And then Hermes would say a few things, and Tat would be like, what are you, or you're making no sense to me. And so even then, the teachings are so like occult that you don't want to just like, they're said in parables sometimes.
Yeah.
They're said in like, hey, well, you're going to have to figure it out yourself. I'll give you some clues. Once again, we're going back to the whole Jesus thing, or many other teachers throughout history.
He even said that. That's where Jesus even says, because his disciples come up to him and they say, "Dang, I wish," but they're like, "Why are you telling these stories?" Like, and like they're kind of.
Why don't you just like spell it out for us?
Yeah, why are you telling it like this way? And he's like, because those who have understanding will understand. Those who have ears to hear will hear. Those who don't are just going to hear a nice story. That's okay. There's the Kybalion. It says where follow the footsteps of the master. The ears of those ready for his teachings are wide open, and when the ears of the student are ready to hear, then cometh the lips to fill them with wisdom.
Master teacher.
The lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. That's what Jesus. That's what he said. That's what Jesus said.
That's what Jesus said. That's what he said. So there's another line in the beginning here that I want to make sure that I think we've already alluded to it, or even like just briefly mentioned it. But there, I can't. Maybe you might have it marked. I didn't mark what you marked. But there's a line here that's pretty much a rewording of "Don't cast your pearls before the swine."
Yeah. That was where we were just reading.
What does it say?
They reserve their pearls of wisdom for the few elect.
They reserve their pearls of wisdom for the few elect.
Yeah. Who recognize their value and who
instead
wear
of
them.
casting them before the materialistic, vulgar swine.
Yeah, like
who would trample them in the mud and mix them with their disgusting mental food. It keeps on going. But still, these men have never forgotten or overlooked. Oh, okay, no, it doesn't. Original.
But they're disgusting mental food. Anyway, okay, one of the things that the Kybalion, okay, the term the Kybalion, or these little aphorisms or maxims, or axioms, whatever you want to call them. These little, like, when the ears of the student are ready to hear, then cometh the lips to fill them with wisdom, are supposed to have been part of those things that are handed down from teacher to student, these sayings to teach them these things. One of the things is that they're not written in a book. It's kind of a weird little, you know what I'm saying? Do you?
Yeah, no, I do.
Like,
I do.
They're saying, they quote that and they say, the Kybalion, which teaching is stated in the Kybalion as follows, and then they give the aphorism or the...
Well, because I guess we didn't clarify that when we
I know,
first started
actually,
this.
I wanted to talk about
Okay, so the Kybalion, as written here by the three initiates, is a modern version of what is internally claimed was there is a notion that there was a Kybalion before as well, and that this is just basically a summary of what it used. It's lost. There's no Kybalion today. Like, you can't find the Kybalion in some, like, museum somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I was, because I was all looking. I was like, where is this originally? And actually, some of the things, I've never read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth.
Yeah.
Have you?
No.
Or listened to it? Or
no.
Because
apparently the law of
that is in there.
Yeah, the law of correspondence apparently comes from the Emerald Tablet of Thoth.
I mean, that saying, that actual saying.
Oh, so as above, so below. So,
yeah, I was just listening to something where they had mentioned that comes from.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so where is this written?
And that's the thing, is which leads me to believe, and I'm going to mention the Bible again, right? Yeah. Because once you go into these things, you start to, like, see, like, the relations to everything else. There's several parts in, like, the Old Testament I know of where there's this concept of written on the tables of their hearts, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think, from what we know, we have, like, you know, Dead Sea Scrolls are found. We come across many texts that were once considered lost.
Yeah.
The Nag Hammadi is found. We see a bunch of texts that were once lost.
Real quick, part of the thing with when I was talking about the Greek mingled with the Egyptian kind of thing, is that it wasn't until 1940, the 40s or whatever, whenever the
Nag
Hammadi library was discovered, that they actually found out that it was from Egypt, or was from that area. That Hermetic stuff came from there, because they thought it seemed like they thought it was kind of a Renaissance thing.
Yeah, so you have your
what I'm saying?
You have your can't remember the guy the first version of the Hermetic texts that we were reading from. I can't remember his name.
Copenhagen?
No,
or Mead.
Mead, yeah. You know, Mead was writing these. He was doing his research in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
He had no idea.
Yeah, that was.
He had no idea that when they would end up finding Nag Hammadi 20 years later.
Yeah, he had, you know, it was traditionally linked to Egypt.
Yeah.
But there was no
evidence,
actual proof. Yeah, so there was a lot of kind of not speculation, but like, oh yeah, sure, you know, they're just inserting Egyptian stuff into here to make it look like ancient.
Correct.
You know, kind of like you you write the 3 initiates, to make it seem like, ooh.
Totally.
I mean,
yeah.
But that wasn't.
And so what an awesome thing when that happened, right? Because a lot of people were validated.
Yeah, because there was in that one book there was 3 different hermetic things: the Asclepius, the 8 and 9, the 8 leads to 9 or whatever it is, and then another one. I don't remember what it was, but
yeah.
So there's all kinds of anyway. Wait, why was I talking about that?
Because the reason why I said that, because I was mentioning how, we find Nag Hammadi, we find the Dead Sea Scrolls, these treasure troves of texts have been found.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Kybalion, though.
We don't
have an old manuscript of an old Kybalion.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe that if it did exist, it was only
word of mouth.
And from teacher to student. It was only that kind of thing.
What are those things that you say? Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Like, what's that called? Cliche.
Okay.
It almost seems like these things became kind of a cliche, where the deep meaning of them were lost.
Okay. Yeah.
And they just were something that you'd say, so they want to explain. Hey, kind of bring the deeper meaning back to them.
Yeah, like, here's the basics of the fundamentals.
Yeah, what they mean. Like, if you think of "don't look a gift horse in the mouth," and it's like, well, we say it and we know what it means. Don't take, somebody gave you a gift, don't take it for granted. But the whole why a gift horse, like the horse, the way you can tell the age of a horse is to look at its teeth.
I never realized that.
How badly they're worn down and stuff. So if somebody gives you a horse for a gift, don't look the gift horse in the mouth. Just take it, accept it, and say thank you. You're not going to sit there and check and you gave me an old horse.
Got it. That makes that statement, that phrase means a lot more now. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it comes from something, and that's what this is like. These common kind of phrases about cyclical nature and stuff. It becomes something in culture different from what it originally meant.
So I'm not sure if this counts, but I thought of it just now. I'm not sure if this counts for one of those things. What do you call them?
A cliche.
So does this count as one? You are what you eat. Was that one?
Yeah.
Okay, just not as profound.
Well, it might. No, it's true though.
But it doesn't have as much of an interesting background as the horse in the mouth.
Well, yeah, it's just you're like, if you say something. We just say that, though. We don't know. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that I found out what that meant. I was like, that's crazy.
Well, and we even say them wrong.
Yeah.
Like today, oh, you are what you eat. It's like, not really. But I see what the original meaning to that meant.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. So,
though I wouldn't mind being Virgil's.
You are what you drink.
Virgil's.
You are what you drink, man.
You are what you drink.
That must mean I'm totally awesome.
Yeah, dude, zero sugar.
But okay, so anyway, so there's this weird kind of idea, or there's no book that it comes from.
Yeah,
like you said, like they say that these have been kept secret, like, and that's part of the reason that there isn't a book about them. That they were. Just like from teacher to student,
just like Hermes
passed on,
elaborated to Tat. Like, okay, you really want to know?
And
let me give you some more details.
But they were general enough sayings that if somebody heard it as a regular person, they'd be like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's cool." Yeah. As above, so below. Like what or whatever. So they'd hear it and they wouldn't. Like a parable where you're like, "That's a cool story," but it's got a deeper meaning if you look into it. Or if you're part of it, so that's one of and also that's one of the big reasons that we haven't heard about it, and also it was repressed by other religions.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
it's bad news.
Yeah, like because there's the anyway. So other religions came in and would wipe it out, or they would adapt some of it to get their followers, kind of like maybe possibly Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they took some of the beliefs and put them in there so that like look
Yeah.
it's here. You know.
Well, would you like if you were I'm not saying that religious leaders are crooked. I don't think they are. I think pretty much every I think today.
I think they believe.
Actually, I think they truly believe it. Okay.
Yeah, there's idea in conspiracy
to,
stuff where they're just they know they're lying. No,
Yeah,
I think people generally believe what they're doing, you know, and they're just
and they're doing the best they can with the faith that they believe they need to have, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, with that aside, if you were to become aware that there's these teachings that will like enable you to like really live a good life and to understand life and to like progress without having to like go through all the religion crap, you know, like that some people have to go through, whether you like it or not, you know, like rituals or all the different like rules and all the different contexts you have to know about. If you were to become aware that, like, you know, but there's some fundamental principles that all these religions all kind of share or at least are aware of,
mm-hmm.
and that are like the foundation. I think that's a good reason to like kind of like push something away. Like, well, let's not enable the peasants to really not need us anymore. You know, like
yeah, because well, but I know I understand, but. It's kind of the idea of this temple's been of this religion's been erected, and you know, so it just naturally happens with religion.
Yeah,
is that you get rules and they're you know, all this stuff.
But even the good and the well-meaning people would be like, hey, the thing is like you're trying to do this without needing God.
Oh yeah,
like the reliance on God at the very end is actually a reason to keep people dumb.
You know what I think? I think the biggest reason that this isn't. I know there's the hidden thing, there's the persecution thing, there's the, you know, all these. There's the teacher to student thing. There's the non-establishment of a central religion. But I think the hardest part about this is that it's a lot of work. Possibly, I haven't done the work, so I don't know. But
sure.
It seems like it's kind of like meditation or something. Or you know, if you were to become a monk, it's or you know, or try to get enlightenment. It's a lot of work. Yeah, it's actual work.
Mark's
it's a lot
giving
of
credit to the monks out there. I hope you're listening, monks. It's a
well,
hard
I'm
life.
Saying,
it's a lot of
yeah.
work.
I mean,
it's not easy. You're not
lazy.
Well,
I'm saying so. That's one of the reasons it isn't passed on. You know, isn't popular because it's easier. It's easy to, or not easy. I'm not, but to have a church, you know, where you go in like, and you have the rites and you have your confessions and
sure.
and whatever, and you read the from the scriptures, you know, on let's just say Sunday. You know, so you do that, and then you just go about the rest of your week, you know, and take some of the teachings, you know, and try to do, you know, something good and whatever, but you're not immersing yourself in it.
Totally.
So I'm saying this is like a way deeper thing where you're working on your mind and like trying to raise it up and
oh, you're totally right. I know what you're saying now. And
so
I totally agree.
That's probably the main reason it is so not known is because it's not a layman's religion.
Yeah, you're totally right about that. It's funny. I had never considered it that way, Mark. But you're right. It's like, yeah, this is not for people who just want to like not do anything.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you know, think about the Egyptian religion. First, they had, you know, it was for the kings and stuff, and they put it in the temples, like all the different things you had to do.
Okay.
And then later, it started becoming more common, and they would write like the Book of the Dead. You know, more upper class people were able to get their own copy of it so that they could know everything that they need to do after death. And then, like we know with the what are those called, the circle,
hypercephaly, or hypercephalies.
Like they were just small discs
yeah,
are written on, that they would put on the when you were buried on your pillow ends, these paper or papyrus discs, and they would have everything like a cheat sheet of not a cheat sheet, but
but like
just
here's your
here's everything you need to know, that you need to know this God's name, or your name, all this different stuff.
Your name, like here's your name.
Well, your
new
name and stuff, and these different how to go by, and the different things to say to different gods to make it through.
No, that's a good point.
So it kind of became like a out to the general thing, and whenever it goes to the general public, it becomes more generic and not as. I think I'm beating a dead horse.
That's a good one. Can you explain what the origins of that?
I'm pretty sure it's about hitting a horse that's dead. That it's not going to do anything. It's not going to move any more than it already has.
So
that's another one, though. There you go. I just use that just regular.
Are you aware of, like? Do you have? I mean, I'm not gonna. That's a dumb question. Who's not aware? Have you ever messed around with an Alexa device or a Google Home device or something, right? How you can talk to it and you can program things, right?
Yeah.
Or Siri maybe.
Yeah.
A personal assistant. Well, I made one a while back. Is basically I just say I give the summoning name for Google, and I say beat a dead horse, and it puts on a timer for 10 minutes. So I have 10 minutes to rant about what I'm going to rant about,
and then it goes off.
But you know what? The thing is, if you haven't noticed, listeners or viewers, I'm like the student, and Mark is the teacher. Like, I just want to thank you, Mark, for this. It's really deep.
Whatever.
This is really deep.
Okay,
let's go on.
Anyway, but just real quick, part of the establishment was the neophytes.
So tell me what you got about that, because I
don't know. It was. I think it was in here where it's just part of the progression, why it's not known so much, because you had to be first be somebody who wanted to learn it, and then you'd get the general stuff, kind of like Tat.
I'm imagining Tat things right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where he's taught the general sermons, and we've talked about this a couple. So this is very hermetic.
Yeah.
And then you become a Hierophant.
I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but yeah. I believe it.
Son,
whatever way you say, I believe it.
Hiero is son.
Hiero's son, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and then an adept. So you're moved higher up to where you're being taught the deeper things. I don't know where Tat was in the last one.
That's interesting, huh? Because how many times did Tat have to go back and say and ask for more?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Further
light
knowledge.
Yeah, that's that his dad promised. Remember, he said, "Dad, you said when we come down the mountain that we're gonna, anyway."
Totally. No,
so and then you become a master. So it's a process, It's kind of like, maybe, I don't know about Masonics or whatever, but they have different levels, and somebody, just because somebody's in the Masonic lodge, I guess. I don't know a lot about.
I don't know about Masonic,
but doesn't mean that they're
either.
The top people, whatever. So.
Yeah, I think they call it degrees, right? 30.
32 degrees or something, or 33. I don't know.
32.
I don't know.
I thought the same number too, but that might be a different.
What was that band? 98 Degrees.
I don't remember. I think so.
Were they master masons? They were 98 degrees. Anyway, so there you go. There's a basic overview of what this is, or what this claims to be.
Yeah. So should we go? Thank you by the way. That was really exhaustive. More exhaustive than I prepared.
That was really exhausting.